to me, say, be careful, let's ensure that the process is highly safeguarded in order to ensure that there are no loopholes in the process of awarding this tender. The context of me sending this was also to make it further clear to Sergeant Nkosi that there's nothing I can do to assist in this process. This is something that we are highly safeguarding in a subtle manner.
So, am I understanding you correctly to say essentially that you were warning Sergeant Nkosi this is not something to interfere with, or I'm still, is that correct?
Correct,
Yeah.
I see.
Now, if we look at the timestamp of your message to Sergeant Nkosi, that's 9:07, which is 11:07 in the morning on of the 21st of March. If we go to page 434, which will be in file 4, (434). You see it?
Yes.
You'll see that shortly after you sent that forwarded message to Sergeant Nkosi, he sent it at 11:17 to Deputy Chief Dlamini.
I can see that.
Now, did this tender have anything, did Deputy Chief Dlamini have any legitimate role to play in this tender?
Legitimate role, meaning part of the process.
Yes, part of the process.
As far as I'm concerned, he was not part of the process.
So he had no legitimate role to play in the process?
No, Chair. Maybe he could have assisted in terms of compiling specifications, I'm not sure. But in terms of the process that was followed, he was not part of that.
Once bids were in and before the BEC, he had no legitimate role to play?
No.
That takes me back to the first instance that we were discussing on the 11th of March.
Is that on page 148?
That's on page 148. And when I asked you about these messages, you accepted that they were forwarded to you from Mr. Nkosi from messages he had received from Deputy Chief Dlamini. General Dlamini doing, saying that the two vehicles for land are Ngapeshea and El Shaddai. Is that anything that he should have a legitimate role in, well, in being part of?
Well, I can't answer for him, SC.
Well, you receive a message which you understand to have originated or to have been sent to Sergeant Nkosi by Deputy Chief Dlamini that says the two vehicles for land are Ngapeshea Security Services, El Shaddai Security Services. What legitimate purpose could Deputy Chief Dlamini have in sending that message to Sergeant Nkosi?
Chairperson, I can't answer why he would send it to him. My understanding when I received this, they wanted me to assist in checking compliance, which I couldn't do.
Yeah, but surely Deputy Chief Dlamini knows that you can't check compliance. He's a senior official of the city. He understands how procurement is supposed to operate. Mm-hmm. But he's asking you to do something which would be unlawful, is it not?
Chair, I'm going to focus on my understanding in this. And these messages, when received, the purpose of that was for me to assist in checking compliance. I made it extremely clear that there's nothing I can do with that. The thought process for Mr. Dlamini would be a very difficult process for me to comment on. I would rather comment on the context of me receiving these and how I understood that and how I understand that now.
But you have a senior official of the city asking you to do something in relation to a procurement process that you understand to be unlawful.
Chair, he didn't ask me to do that.
So he didn't ask you to do that. You understood him, or you understood Sergeant Nkosi to be asking you to do that?
Yes.
How did you understand the meaning of his message to Sergeant Nkosi? The 2 vehicles for Landau and Ngapesheya Security Services, El Shaddai Security Services. What did you understand in relation to that?
2 vehicles which we need to check compliance on are Ngapesheya and El Shaddai.
Now, why would Deputy Chief Dlamini ask Sergeant Nkosi to check compliance on these 2 vehicles?
I can't comment on why he would ask Sergeant Nkosi, Chair.
Well, is there any conceivable basis on which Sergeant Nkosi would be in a position lawfully to check for compliance on 2 vehicles?
Sergeant Nkosi doesn't work for the city, so he wouldn't.
No. So, did it not occur to you that what Deputy Chief Dlamini had done in this regard was probably improper?
Chair, what occurred to me here was that they wanted me to check compliance. I had received these messages from Sergeant Nkosi. There was nothing I could do about that. Hence, in my submission, ignored, didn't entertain, and I had to play along in order to get this matter off my table.
Yes, but I understood your evidence earlier to be that you explained to Sergeant Nkosi that you can't do this. Did you explain anything to Deputy Chief Dlamini?
No, I didn't speak to Deputy Chief Dlamini about this matter.
Did you take anything further in relation to Deputy Chief Dlamini and the propriety of what he had done? Did you raise a complaint in the city?
No, Chair. Purely on the basis that this was a request for me to check compliance. There was nothing improper about that. It was someone's misunderstanding of the procurement environment. At this stage, there's no alarm for me to raise.
But surely,
Except for to safeguard the process, apologies SC, except for me to ensure that the process is followed to the T and there are no glitches along the way. That was my pure responsibility. We deal with a number of issues, Chair, and sometimes as a manager you need to avoid raising any matters that would not have any substance in the future. So I hadn't had any formal substantive evidence that could prove beyond reasonable doubt on what we're discussing now. Hence, I had to take a decision to ensure that the process is safeguarded to the T.
but here you have a senior official in the Municipal Police Department who appears at the very least on your understanding of things to be suggesting through an outsider to the city that somebody should be checking for compliance on the part of 2 companies at a time when it would be impermissible for anybody to do that.
I wouldn't know the discussions between Sergeant Nkosi and General Dlamini. I'm aware of this because I had received them as a result of that. I view this as a request for him to check that. Whether Dlamini wanted him to send it to me or anyone else, I don't know, and I can't comment on that.
But you did understand that Dlamini was making this inquiry of Sergeant Nkosi?
So looking at the text, I agree with you. Looking at this text and how they're formulated, especially on number 3. At the first one, maybe I might not have seen that. But from the second one, when we see afternoon captain, I already start getting a flag. Because that I know he refers to him as captain. On the first one, with all due respect, those inferences that we normally have, as you've alluded to earlier on, the general, Mfowethu, and captain are not there. But on the second one, that's how I view that.
Let's go to the second case where these 2 bidders were sent to you in a message from Sergeant Nkosi. That is, as you pointed out at the foot of page 152. And you've dealt with the second case in your responses to the questions of the commissioners. I just want to put to you that if in the first case you'd made it clear that you can't do that, you would presumably have been mildly irritated when a second request was addressed to you to do that which you had already told someone you could not do? Were you not irritated by the second request?
The second request, Chair, you need to give someone a benefit of the doubt. And the benefit of the doubt was maybe he didn't understand me, maybe he didn't get me clearly. From the third instance moving forward, I can confirm an element of annoyance and irritation.
Well, you see, it's your response to the second request which strikes me as odd, because you get the request, you've already explained that you can't do this, and then you text back, "Thanks, my bro." Why did you text back, "Thanks, my bro"?
So in the call earlier on 152, we first had a call before he sent me those messages, as you can see on 152. In this call, there was a reminder. Did you manage to check on that? So I said to him, no, I didn't, and I even forgot what entities are you referring to. He then sends them to me, and I say, thank you for sending them to me.
But your evidence is that you'd already told him you can't check on any entities.
Yes.
So the identity of the entities at some level was irrelevant. Whoever they were, you weren't going to check.
Spot on.
So why did you thank him for giving you information that was irrelevant? First question.
Now, I was acknowledging his reminder. He was reminding me here. I sent you something on the 11th. You didn't say anything about it. You didn't give me any feedback. He then comes back on the 18th after our phone call, and then he sends them to me again. And the context of our phone call is, did you manage to check on what I had sent to you on the 11th on page 148? My response to that was, no, I didn't. I couldn't, but I don't have that anymore. I don't recall. He then sends them to me as a form of a reminder.
But
Presumably, Mr. Mnisi, in that call, you would have said to him, I cannot check. You would have repeated what you told him previously in this call before he sends you these messages.
So, Commissioner, at this point, I just wanted to move on from this matter.
I understand you want to move on, but you have a call with him. This is the second time. So you presumably, I'm saying to you, presumably you would have said to him, forward to, I can't check this thing in that call. No?
So I didn't say that. I said I don't remember. I recall, I said I don't even remember what you sent me. Then he said, I'll send it to you again. In the phone call, the discussion is, did you check what I sent to you on the 11th? My response is, I don't remember. What are you talking about? I had remembered, obviously, Chair, but I was trying to move away from that issue. He then sends me the two names in terms of trying to remind me on what I had just said I had forgotten.
Yes. And you don't say to him, thank you, I've received it, but as I told you, I won't be checking. You just say thank you.
So when we hung up on the call, he then sends that to me. Then in the response, I said thank you to him, in the hope that, Chair, it will stop from here. He would probably presume that maybe I will check for him or do something about it. Unfortunately, he's not convinced and it persists.
So you thought he would stop because you said thank you. You thought
Yes.
from that thank you, he would stop asking you.
Yes, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
But his response to your thank you is to send you a thank you emoji. If you look at page 153, at message time 6:59, actual time 8:59, he sends you a thank you emoji, those two hands put together.
I can see that, SC.
So he's presumably thanking you something, thank you for what he thinks you are either going to do or have undertaken to do or have done. I mean, he's thanking you for something. What's he thanking you for?
I'm not sure what he's thanking me for.
But did it not, I mean, your evidence now is that you were hoping at this stage he'd go away. He'd understand. But he gives you a thank you emoji. Is that consistent with someone who thinks that his request has been rejected and explained?
Chair, he probably thinks I'm going to check.
Yes.
Yeah, so in this place, I'm already starting my strategy of trying to play along because I can see where this is going. So me thanking him, he's going to think that I'm going to do something about it, which of course I'm not because I can't and I didn't. He thanks me because he's of the view that I will be able to try and assist him. I read that in that context.
I'm sorry to do this. There was one other issue that I wanted to raise in respect to that first occasion.
Before you move to that, Mr. Chaskalson, do you remember, of course you do, when I engaged you about your use of 482, and I suggested to you that in context it appears either to be thank you or at the very least an acknowledgement. You remember that?
I remember, Chair, when you raised that.
Yes. Now here at 153 you have those, and there are two of them, one after the other. You explained the two that I referred you to earlier, despite the fact that they were standalone 482s, but you explained that they were connected to the texts that followed each one of them. What would you say about these two here? Because there are no sentences that follow them.
Chair, I would say to you, those refer to the next day.
I'm sorry?
This is on the 19th, it's the next day. The previous one was on the 18th. So the two Mfwetjus that you see is the next day. So it's completely unrelated. And it was the start of a new day where I was greeting him as a friend. How are you doing? Are you well? How's your day looking? Simple courtesy greetings of a friend of yours. So it's not related whatsoever. And when I say Mfwetju, it does not mean I'm greeting him, or I'm acknowledging, or I'm thanking him, Chairperson.
All right, thank you. All right.
I'm sorry to go back to that first message again, but there was an issue that I wanted to canvass with you, which is that very first message on page 148. It goes, "Afternoon, my brother. I trust you are well and your family. My sincere apologies for the delay in sending this message. The two vehicles for land are." Now, why would someone apologize for a delay in sending a request to check compliance on two vehicles?
Well, Chair, as we are aware, these are messages from General Dlamini to Sergeant Nkosi. They must probably have their own discussion after that. But in me receiving this, I pick up the keen points of interest, which I know we had a discussion on later on, and it's on checking compliance for Ngapeshe and El Shaddai. In terms of the apologies for the delayed message, that must have been a communication, of course, between the General as well as Sergeant Nkosi, which I can't comment on.
And you knew right through this that Ngapeshe was Sergeant Nkosi's brother's company?
True.
Yes. So you knew that Sergeant Nkosi was asking you to do something in relation to his brother's company?
To check compliance in terms of his brother's company, yes, SC?
Yes. At a later stage, though, you came to realize that what he really wanted was for you to ensure the award to the brother's company.
I suspected that in my own analysis due to the persistence.
Before we move to the third case, there's something else in relation to this tender, which happens in between the second and the third case that I want to address with you, and it's the events of the 23rd of March. So if we go to page 155.
Sorry, Mr. Chaskalson, maybe before you do that, I didn't realize you're moving on. Can I just ask a question about 154, the text that you discussed in 154? It's that text that you say came to you from Mr. Mnisi. Mr. Mnisi?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that text was preceded by a telephone call on the previous page between
Yes.
you and Sergeant Nkosi. And then you have that text, which you say is from Mr. Mnisi. Now, there's nothing in the text itself from Mr. Mnisi that explains, especially that last sentence. What did you want Mr. Sergeant Nkosi to make of that last sentence that says, telling me to submit 5 is an insult and didn't sit well with me? What did you want him to make of it?
So I think in short, the purpose of the phone call was to contextualize him on the potential irregularities and to try to make the matter sink in if we didn't understand it first, that there's no way we can assist in checking compliance. So the context of the entire message was saying the deputy mayor is even facing issues of this nature and is raising severe alarms, which I had alerted you on. There's nothing we can do on this matter. Compliance can be checked. The process must be followed to the T.
Okay, so in your call, you had told him that Mr. Mnisi, what? What about Mr. Mnisi?
No, he obviously asked the commissioner that what's this message about, and I told him that this unfolded from the executive.
No, the message comes after a call. Otherwise, your message comes cold. It has no context whatsoever. So are you saying that when you sent this message, he would not have known what this message is about and what the point of you sending it is until you did a call?
Chair, what I can confirm is that in between there, I had to clarify to him, and I did clarify to him on what was going on.
Sorry, in between you did what?
So what I'm trying to say is that the call afterwards is where I explained to Sergeant Nkosi what the context of that message was.
Okay, let's do with me. So when this message, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. When this message lands in his inbox, you're saying he didn't know, he wouldn't have known what it is about.
No, until the second call.
He just gets a random message from you.
So he gets a message from me, and on
Yes.
154 we have a discussion, and I expand that further.
When you say one from before you had a discussion, you mean the day before, the earlier message before the text?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm battling
Yes,
to
yes.
understand your sequence and
Okay.
explanation of this text. So be patient with me.
Yes, Commissioner.
You send this message, but before this message, there was a call, right? Are you saying that call would have explained this message, or it is a subsequent call that only explains the message for the first time?
It's the subsequent call that explains the message for the first time.
So the call at 9:08.
9:08.
Which we find at page
Exactly.
154.
Yes.
Okay. And what do you say to him about this message while you're sending the message to him?
I thought I've explained that, Commissioner. I was trying to say that I've received this from the Deputy Executive Mayor. He's getting concerns because there are people trying to court him, trying to make him or have him influence the process. It can't be done. We are safeguarding this process to the T. This was a way of me explaining to him subtle what had happened on 148.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Mnisi sends you this message, for it to make sense, to have meaning to you, to mean anything to you, he would have had a call with you.
Yes,
and I
yes,
think
indeed.
that was your evidence
Yes,
that he had
indeed.
a call. Okay. Then explain to us what he said about that last line. Telling me to submit 5 is an insult and didn't sit well with me. We know he had a meeting with Action SA
Yes.
and EFF. And then he tells you that telling me to submit 5 is an insult and didn't sit well with me. What did Mr. Mnisi say to you about the submission of 5? What is that all about?
So in short, he was telling me that individuals from the purported individuals from Action SA and EFF want him to assist in submitting names for companies to be favored. And that didn't sit well with him. We might not have broken down each sentence during the call, but the context of the call was you need to be very careful. If I'm getting this, I can imagine the influx that you or anyone within your team will be getting. You need to safeguard the process and ensure that it's secured.
Okay,
That was-
so what I think I'm more interested in what he said about the Action SA and EFF, not just generally, just Action SA and EFF from his discussion with them. In that last line, you say he was saying to you, in the telephone call, he was saying to you that these two entities, or one of them, was telling him to submit 5 names to be favored for the tender, and he found it to be an insult.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shas.
Thank you. Can we look at another event that happens between the second and third attempts to raise bidders' names with you? It's a series of events on the 23rd of March, page 155. And there at message time 5:45, actual time 7:45 p.m., Sergeant Nkosi messages you saying, "Are you well? Wanted to check earlier about the meeting with US." Now, US is Deputy Chief Dlamini, is it not?
Yes, it is.
your response is, I'm okay, my brother, in response to, are you well? And then, let's meet General tomorrow, please. So you are saying to Sergeant Nkosi, let's meet with Deputy Chief Dlamini tomorrow, which would be the 24th of March.
Spot on.
Later that evening, Sergeant Nkosi sends you a message which on its face is clearly one of those messages which originates with Deputy Chief Dlamini, because we see Captain and Umpuetu. But you can actually see that it comes from Deputy Chief Dlamini on page 435, chat 1, if you just want to take that note. And the message says, "Afternoon, Captain. I trust you're well in your family. I thought we will meet up today so that I could get clarity on something Umpuetu. Kane called me on Friday and asked if that Gubis want to meet up with me on Saturday. I then pushed the meeting to Monday with a view of getting direction from Umpuetu first today. Please check with him on this and his advice if I should go or drop them.